Today, everybody, I'm going to tell you the principles of batoning and see what you can do no matter what knife you have to start a fire with a bigger log, right? Because as we all know, if you have fuel, something like this is not going to light very easily. We want something that's called kindling, right? So, I've got to show you an axe, two different little knives, and then I've got my machete. Split the back of my hand opening doing something silly. You gotta make sure you focus when you're using knives, okay? So, this is the kind of classic way of, if you kind of set it up right, and then you can lean it, right? Split it. Now, problem with this is sometimes that happens when you're getting ready to swing. So then the tendency is like, I'm gonna hold my hand and then move it out of the way real fast. That is not very smart. So what you can do is you can have it in place. You can start it. Once it starts, split it like that, right? Okay, now, not everybody always has this, right? But then the other aspect is that once this starts getting smaller, it gets really tippy to be able to do this. So, what you can do is you can just baton with another piece of wood, and you smack it, I'm gonna switch my example so I got a little better leverage, right? Okay, so that splits with this. Now, I can do the same thing as we're doing, we're just progressively smaller, right? This is a sharp blade. Make sure that you're not being something silly. How I split my hand open was I was doing this. I'd already done all this kindling and I was trying to be a super host, and then I was just twisting one last piece, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna twist it, hold this hand, and boom, and then it just slipped, boom, and nicked me, right? So, instead of doing that, what I should have done is doing more batoning, and you just tap the back of the blade, you set it up on another bite, right? And that's how you do it, right? And I mean, it is fun or whatever, like, but like with like a bigger piece of wood, your hands are away from you, right? You got plenty of space, you know, and you can, I'm not holding anywhere near where I'm swinging with my knife, so it's actually like, this hand is like behind my head, right? And so, split it like that, right? But when it starts getting tippy, and the whole trick is to just, you know, this is kind of like ninja samurai training or whatnot, but there comes a point where that starts happening. So when that starts happening, you just set your piece on it, right? Tap the back, and you say, now Andrew, what happens if I don't have these big old things with me when I go camping, because these are heavy? I don't carry these when I'm camping either. But you can see how this is the spine, right? And so you want to tap the back of this. Same thing like we're tapping the back of this, you know? This is a wedge, and this is also a wedge. It's just smaller, right? So now I'm going to show you how to do the same thing, but with a smaller piece of wood, right? So when you're out camping or whatnot, you don't need a large piece of wood. You just need to be able to split it. All right, so I'm taking smaller bites, and then you want to just push down and get these little slices, you know, and like you can do this just as easily with branches and stuff. I just happen to have some 2x4 and stuff. The other way of kindling is just running your knife down the outside of it. You want to get these little guys going right here, right? So that's batoning. It's a great skill because with this knife, I can start a fire with just using it where I'm lining it up, taking a little bite. You know, I can take a lot bigger bite with this than I can with this, but the principle is the same, that you just tap it in, and you don't have to be all powerful or anything like that. You know, my young nieces could do this. You know, it doesn't mean you don't have to be strong. You just have to have enough of a bite to tap the back of your blade, right? So that's like a Gerber folding straight edge knife. But you can also even do it with just your classic, you know, your classic MacGyver knife, right? So with this, I'm going to take even smaller bites and just gently tap the back, move it down. And the thing to be cautious with is that this isn't a locking blade, so it likes to do that. And so when it does that, you just got to know the characteristics of the blade, that it's easy for it to fold. If you're pushing on something, it's easy for it to fold in and smash you. So that's why it's nice to have, you know, a locking knife. That I kind of prefer these to these, but these have got more uses, more tools on the same knife. But I really like a good just locking, folding knife. Okay, so now, like I was talking to you about, so you just want nice, take a small bite, right? And you know, the wetter the wood, you know, the more it wants to break. Okay, and it's just like knife safety. Like I'm seeing how this is wanting to really bend like that, right? So just gotta make sure it's lined up right, putting enough weight on the back of this to balance it. Okay, see this? It's kind of getting stuck, right? So what you can do is just get your other piece of wood, get another piece of wood, smack it a little bit, and use that to wedge it out. Okay, so that, let me even try, I'm gonna grab one of my kitchen knives. So this is a butter knife. Let's see how this goes. Ask your mom or dad if you're watching this video and you're not the one that buys your knives. Don't use a nice fancy knife. I did that back in the day with my dad. Luckily he's a patient person. Completely ruined a butcher knife because I was, you know, you gotta have the right tool for the job. But I'm showing you that, you know, with just a knife that you can get from a cafeteria or whatever will still work. Like that, right? Okay, so I'm gonna show, and that's the thing, right? This is a dull knife. I can't, it's kind of hard to shave, you know, I can't really get a good bite with this. Now I could sharpen this. I'll show you another video of doing that, but with this fulcrum, if I do it out here, I don't have much to hit, right? But if I slide this more up and have it more in the center, then I can smack the back spine of the knife and open it up. So as you can see, works for this, it works for your, you know, your little standard Victorinox Swiss Army knife. It works with a folding little like Gerber knife. I would recommend, like, if you're wanting to like figure like some kind of knife to take with you on a lot of different things, this is great because you can do this with it. You can shave stuff with it. You can to start a fire, to make kindling, and then, you know, it's also like a great peanut butter spreader. So, you know, that's a good size knife. But you can also do batoning with this machete, and you can also do batoning with an axe if you're not comfortable with it. And so that's the thing, is that once a piece gets small, it's like, so for a piece like this, you know, that it, like, pieces this small tend to like to fall over. Now this isn't quite small enough, and if you're using an axe, then you start doing really silly stuff. This, you know, holding it and doing that's really not a very smart way of doing it. It's just really easy to cut open your hand. Speaking from experience, those 12 stitches, yep, thank goodness for good friends. So, you know, you can just hold it, tap it like that, okay? So, if I was to be making kindling, like that is like a medium size. This, we're not getting small enough yet to really start a fire. That's starting to get sort of there. So like you want to start with matchsticks, then go to popsicle sticks, then go to kind of paint stir sticks, and then you like build from there, right? So I would just split these, but you know, the smaller the bite that you do, the easier it's gonna burn, especially if it's wet. So, you know, just start it, give her a little tap, boom, next one, ka-dang, ka-dink, 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 ka-dink. And then the nice thing too is that you're, you know, I've got a little piece of wood underneath, so I'm not worried about messing up my blade. And because when you swing, and I know it's fun to do the whole samurai whatever thing, you know, there's a time for all of that. You know, you could be doing that when you're getting the branches, but when you're actually making your fire, you know, sometimes being more delicate. So the nice thing is, like, you can just set it, place it exactly where you want it. So, you know, but once you've got stuff like this, this makes it really, really awesome. Okay. Next video, I'm going to show you how to light a little fire.